BBC News. Hello, I'm Jerry Smith. A former employee at Britain's consulate in Hong Kong has said he was tortured after being detained on a trip to mainland China in August. Simon Cheng told the BBC that he was shackled, blindfolded and held in stress positions. China has accused Britain of encouraging pro-democracy protests in the territory. Beijing has not responded, but has previously suggested Mr Cheng was detained for soliciting a prostitute. Our correspondent John Sudworth spoke to him.
We know from Simon Cheng's interview that, according to his account at least, the secret police who interrogated him have recorded confessions, forced confessions, he says, admitting to all sorts of things, of betraying the motherland, as well as that accusation of prostitution. That may give China some options in terms of the way it pushes back at this. That may, if his account is correct, be the reason for recording those confessions in the first place.
Russia has condemned a series of Israeli airstrikes on dozens of targets in Syria belonging to the Syrian government and its Iranian allies. The Kremlin said such attacks were completely against international law. Israel said the strikes were a response to rocket fire from an Iranian unit in Syria. Barbara Pletasha reports.
Israel has carried out hundreds of air and missile strikes on targets linked to Iran in Syrian territory, but this was one of the broadest attacks to date. Unusually, the Israelis not only publicly confirmed the operation, but sent out a map of the sites they hit. Military spokesmen said there were dozens, including weapons depots and command centers. Most of them were around Damascus, which they said was the origin of the rocket fire at Israel on Tuesday.
The authorities in Malta say a businessman, Jorgen Fenech, has been arrested as part of the investigation into the murder of the journalist Daphne Caruana Galizia. Mr Fenech was detained at sea in his yacht off Malta. At the time of her death 2 years ago, Ms Caruana Galizia had been investigating Mr Fenech, whose company 17 Black was named in a highly critical report by the Council of Europe. The BBC's Mike Sanders says the scandals put the Prime Minister, Joseph Muscat, under increasing pressure.
One former opposition leader, Simon Busuttil, has called on him to resign, saying his position after this arrest is untenable. What I can tell you is what it says in the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe report, which is that it urges the Maltese law enforcement bodies to end what it calls the prevailing climate of impunity by robustly investigating and prosecuting those suspected of being involved or benefiting from the scandals exposed by Daphne Caruana Galizia.
At least 12 people have been killed when rebels attacked the town of Beni in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Eyewitnesses say men from the Allied Democratic Forces used machetes. News from the BBC. Police in Zimbabwe have used batons, tear gas and water cannon to beat up and disperse supporters of the main opposition party in the capital, Harare. They were due to hear a speech by Nelson Chamisa, the leader of the Movement for Democratic Change. The latest police action comes as the opposition accuses President Emerson Mnangagwa of adopting the same heavy-handed tactics used by his predecessor, Robert Mugabe. Bus and truck workers in Bangladesh have joined a transport strike that's crippling large parts of the country. Passengers have been left stranded as buses were halted on main routes out of the capital, Dhaka. Goods transportation has also come to a standstill. The strike began on Monday as workers protested against the implementation of new transport laws imposing tough penalties for traffic offences. The Greek government has announced plans to build 5 closed camps to hold migrants before they're sent elsewhere. Each would have a capacity of 5,000 people. The overcrowded existing camps, including the former prison at Moria on the island of Lesbos, would be closed. 3 of the new centres would be on Lesbos, Chios and Samos Islands. A 9-year-old Belgian boy is about to become one of the world's youngest university graduates. Laurent Simons is expected to graduate soon with a degree in electrical engineering.
At the age of 4, I started at primary school. At the age of 6, I started at high school. At the age of 8, I was done with high school. Then I did a little vacation. And then at the age of 9, I'm now in university. And I think in December I will finish it.
Laurent told the BBC he wants to study medicine with the eventual aim of creating artificial organs. Laurent said that he'd found school dull. BBC News.